Okay, today we'll be looking at the future, and we will be looking at these future forms. That is be going to, will, the present progressive, that is be verb plus verb ing, the simple present, that is verb ses. Before we start, let's look at be going to. We're going to look at the form of be going to. All right. Something we need to talk about is that the rules for the be auxiliary noun and verb agreement are the same with be going to. So, for example, he is going to shop, she is going to shop, they are going to shop, I am going to shop, you are going to shop, it is going to shop, my parents are going to shop, and my mom is going to shop. Okay, so pretty much one things that we need to note about these red arrows is that he, she, it, and my mom, we consider those the third person singular, and for those we use is. For everything else, it's are, they, you, we, are, and for the biggest exception is I am. Let's move on now. Here we're going to look about at question formation with be going to. Okay, so for question formation, we take a statement, the dog is going to eat, and we move the be auxiliary before the noun. So we move this, we take this is and we put it right before the noun. Is the dog going to eat? If we want to make a WH question word, then we just add a WH question word. What is the dog going to eat? Some WH question words are who, what, where, when, and why, and how. Moving on now, let's look at some other questions, some other examples. So, he is going to study. Is he going to study? Why is he going to study? They are going to shop. Are they going to shop? Where are they going to shop? Okay, let's look at positive and negative statements with be going to. Okay, the first thing we need to note is contracted forms, contracted statements, where we contract the be auxiliary and the noun. So the original statement is he is going to study. The contracted statement, he's going to study, and the contraction occurs between the be auxiliary and the noun. When we do negation, the negation comes after the be auxiliary. So he is not going to study. If we contract the negation, we say then the contraction occurs between the auxiliary and not. So he isn't going to study. Okay, let's look at an example. They are going to study. They're going to study. Negation. They are not going to shop. To shop. And the contracted negation. They aren't going to shop. Okay. Up until now, it's been pretty much a review. Let's look at some future form uses. Okay. We're going to be comparing the uses for be going to, the present progressive, that is be plus verb ing, and the simple present, that is verb ses. Okay, some of the rules we're going to look at. Number one is we use the be going to when the plan is not specific or definite, or that is, it may not happen. And we use the present progressive, that is be plus verb ing, when the plan is specific or definite. And we use the simple present when the plan is a scheduled event. So let's look at this. I will study hard soon. I'm going to study hard soon. So if I take this, I will study hard soon, how can I rewrite it? Can I say I'm going to study hard soon? I am studying hard soon. I study hard soon. Well, we can say if the plan is somewhat certain, may not happen, then we say A. If the plan is certain and it's going to happen, definitely, then we say B. But if the plan is not certain, but we cannot use C because it is not a scheduled event. I don't study hard soon every day. Soon is not every day. Okay. The best answer I think is A, because there is not enough to tell me that it's a definite plan that will not change. Okay. Let's look at this next one. I will graduate in September. Okay. A, I am going to graduate in September. B, I am graduating in September. And C, I graduate in September. Here I can use the best one. I think A is good. B is also okay. C is not okay because I don't graduate every September. Graduate is something that happens once in a while. It's not a scheduled event. Best answer, my opinion, is B because I'm graduating in September. It is a specific plan and it's pretty definite. It's a definite plan. It's very certainly going to occur. So we wouldn't use I'm going to. The biggest example that I've given students in the past regarding using the present progressive for definite plans. In movies, they say, "We're having a baby," or the wife of a husband, an engaged couple would say, "We're getting married." So they use the present progressive. Are they getting married now? No, in the future, but it's definite plan. Are they having a baby now? No, in the future, but it's a definite plan. It's gonna happen. God bless them. Let's move on. Let's look at this one. This one's a good example. I will go to the gym today, like I do every Tuesday. Okay, so A, I'm going to the gym today. That's okay. B, I'm going to the gym today. That also works. And C, I go to the gym today. That works too. Okay, the best answer is this one. I go to the gym today. Why? Because it's an activity that I do every Tuesday. All right. A and B are also okay. A, maybe it's definite and not specific. And B, maybe it is. A, maybe it's not definite. Maybe it's not specific. And B, maybe it is definite and specific and certain. Let's move on now. Let's look at will. Okay. We're going to study now the form for will. Okay. And we're going to talk about questions with will, question formation with will. So, question formation. This is very similar. Will is very similar to the be auxiliary. I mean, it works like an auxiliary. It is a modal. So we usually move will. So for example, with a statement, the dog will eat. With a yes/no question, will the dog eat? Again, because it's similar to the be auxiliary. Will move before the noun. Okay. Easy peasy. If we want to make a WH question, then we just add a WH question word. What will the dog eat? And once again, some WH question words are who, what, where, when, why, and how. Moving on now, let's look at an example. He will study. Will he study? Why will he study? All right, so that reviews question formation with will. One more, okay. Statement, they will shop. Will they shop? Where will they shop? Okay, so let's move on and let's talk about positive and negative statements with will. Okay, statement, he will study. The contracted statement, he'll study. The contraction occurs between will, which is kind of a verb auxiliary, like the be verb, like the be auxiliary, and the noun, so he'll study. When we want to negate, we put the negation comes after will, just like the be auxiliary. He will not study, okay? If we want to contract a negation, we say he won't study. So the contraction occurs between will and not. He won't study. I'll give you an example. They will shop. They'll shop. They will not shop. They won't shop. Okay, all of these are contracted and non-contracted statements with negation and positive statements. Let's move on. We're going to look now at the future form uses for be going to, the present progressive, and will. This part is kind of complicated, so I'm providing a Venn diagram right here. At the end of the presentation, you'll see the Venn diagram. You can use this Venn diagram to see where the uses for will and be going to overlap, and the uses for will and the present progressive overlap as well. The book doesn't let us know about any of these that overlap for all three, or for be going to and the present progressive. Okay, most the two situations where they overlap are for will and be going to overlap, and the uses for will and the present progressive overlap right here. Let's look at this. So the first one is will. We use will for immediate decisions. That is something I just decided. For example, my friend, I'm drinking tonight. You, okay, I'll go too. Okay, this was immediate decision. It was just decided, so I will go. Informal writing, that is academic writing, for such as academic writing, biologists predict that there will be 50% less species on Earth by 2040. We use will mostly for, in writing, we use will mostly. informal writing, we use be going to mostly in speaking when speaking. Let's look at one of the overlaps for will and be going to. We use will and be going to for predictions with or without different degrees of certainty. Okay, so if I'm making a prediction, I can use will or be going to. If I'm making a prediction with a degree of certainty, then I definitely want to use will and be going to. The book gives us a pretty nice rundown of some of the more and less certain adverbs of frequency. For the less certain ones, maybe, possibly, perhaps. More certain is certainly, definitely, and undoubtedly. And likely and probably is like, it's a weak form of being certain, but it's not less certain. Let's move on. To give an example, it is undoubtedly going to rain tonight. Something to note is that, and it will certainly rain tonight. Please note that the adverb of certainty usually comes after the be auxiliary, okay? You can also say it undoubtedly is or it certainly will, but usually comes after the auxiliary, okay? After the auxiliary. Not just be auxiliary, but the will or is. If there is negation, for example, it will certainly not rain tonight, the adverb of certainty comes before the negation. So it will certainly not rain tonight. Okay, let's move on. These are usual cases. They're not set in stone. I have heard it come before the auxiliary. I have heard it come before the negation. But if you're looking at just usual cases, this is it. Let's look at the uses for be going to. Be going to is used for future events that are certain because there is evidence. So, for example, there are many dark clouds and thunder in the sky. That's my evidence. Okay, so I'm certain it is going to rain. Okay, so if there is evidence, then we use it is going to rain. We can also use be going to for intentions or things you hope. Okay, so for example, I'm going to travel the world. I am going to see the northern lights. These intentions or things that we hope are like life goals, things that you would write down in a bucket list. Something I want to note is that I would like you to note is that you can use will for hope. I don't think you can write a bucket list and use will and I'm going to. I don't think that it's only for hope. That we use only be going to for hope. Don't worry about that little baby rule. The purpose of learning rules is to communicate. Let's move on. Will and the present progressive are used for arranged decisions. For example, I will graduate this semester. I am graduating this semester. Okay. We may remember that the present progressive is used for things that are so certain they're likely not going to change. But for plans, for arranged decisions, we use will in the present progressive. So if I look at the Venn diagram, we use will. To summarize, we use will for immediate decisions, guessing with no evidence and informal writing, and in formal writing. We use be going to for predictions with evidence and intentions or things we hope. Both will and be going to are used for degrees of certainty with prediction. We use the present progressive for very certain and very specific plans in the future, and we use the present progressive and will for arranged decisions. Well, this concludes this. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that this makes the different uses for the future forms more clear to you. Please remember that I would say besides the present progressive, we can use will and be going to a little more freely. But the present progressive is specifically used for, more used in the future tense for plans that are certain and specific. So besides that, don't stress too much. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation and please have a wonderful day.